Champion School Manager for Special Olympics Pennsylvania, and we're here to talk about Fitness Heptathlon for our Unified Champion Schools program. This is a more high-level overview of what Fitness Heptathlon is. There can be a lot of text on these slides, but we will be sending out these slides afterwards for everybody, and this is also going to be recorded. So if you want to look back on this recording or anything like that, or if there's people that you wanted to be on this that weren't able to, we will be sending this out later. Throughout the entirety of the webinar, if you have any questions, please feel free to type your questions into our chat box. We are going to leave the audience muted for the majority of the presentation just to eliminate any background noise. But again, if you have questions throughout any part of this webinar, please type it in your chat box. We have multiple Special Olympics liaisons on this call that are going to be monitoring the chat box, and they'll also be talking and introducing themselves along the way. So just be on the lookout for that. And with that, we will go ahead and get started. So here's just a quick look at our agenda today. Again, we will be sending out these slides and a recording, so please just keep that in mind as we talk about all these dates and information. So first and foremost, we just want to let you guys know, we know how challenging it is to be teaching in schools right now. We know things are constantly changing and it's extremely hard for all of our teachers to be keeping up right now. So that's why Fitness Heptathlon is so great for our schools right now, because flexibility is really key in all of our school programming. So the Fitness Heptathlon can be all done virtually, or it can be done in person. It can also be done kind of both ways. So a lot of schools we are talking to were having situations where some of their students were in the schools and some were virtual, and that will obviously be continuing to change as people are getting quarantined and coming back. So with Fitness Heptathlon, you can do whatever model works. So you can also do in person and virtual. So it's really going to be able to do whatever is needed in your school building. But please remember, this is still to be treated like an after-school activity, just like Unified Bocce and all of our Unified Sports programming, with the exception of Philadelphia. So here are some facts. So just kind of a step back, again, we just talked about how chaotic it is in our school buildings, but we do want to remind everyone why it is so important to be doing this programming. So here are just some statistics. Our special education students, so our Special Olympic athletes, are 2 times as likely to be obese. They're 2 to 4 times as likely to be the less physically active. Their life expectancy is reduced by an average of 16 years, and so much more. It is so important at the high school level to be teaching them these healthy habits, keeping them physically active. And of course, we also really need that socialization aspect of inclusion that is provided with Unified Sports. So again, I know you guys are so busy and very stressed out with what's going on, but this programming is so important for our students. It's so important for our athletes. And we really see this as a way to making sure that people are still being physically active, even if they're at home. So with the Fitness Heptathlon, we are also doing a health education component. So at the end of all of our lessons, which we will show you, there's going to be like a little box of information that's going to be the health education aspect that we would ask you guys to talk about. We're also going to talk about why knowing things like your height and weight and BMIs are important as well. This aspect of the program is optional, but again, I highly recommend talking about it with your students. It's a great opportunity for health education that we normally wouldn't get to talk about in Bocce, but hopefully that will change in the future. And there's also a lifestyle survey that we are asking everyone in our community programming to take at the beginning of Fitness Heptathlon. Again, this is not mandatory for our schools, but another great avenue to begin that dialogue for health education in our school communities. So here are some of our tentative timelines. So you can start as early as next week. This is when we would hope you guys would start. It's the same as Bocce. We know Bocce could have started this week, but with a lot of timelines in schools, things couldn't even begin to happen until next Monday anyway. And our tentative end date is March 10th, so this is about a 10-week program. We are still asking for our rosters to be due on December 18th. And this is also when you're going to send your baseline scores to us, which we will talk about in a later slide. So with our teams, we're keeping it pretty much the same as bocce. So each school can have 2 teams of 8 participants. You can also have teams of 6. So that's an okay number too, but we really need to make sure they are even numbers because of just how teams are being scored. This is a change from bocce because in bocce you can have 7 people on a team, but with fitness heptathlon, just the way the math works with team scoring, we really need 6 or 8. If that's an issue for any other schools, please contact your liaison to kind of work on some ways to figure that out. And for coach requirements, we have the coaching unified sports course and concussion training, which is exactly the same as unified bocce. And most of our coaches probably have already done this. And for our student athletes, you need to sign either a virtual waiver or obtain your PIAA medical. So our PIAA medical is what we always recommend and always actually mandate for our student athletes to have, just as any other athlete in their school building. But this year we know it may be hard to go to the doctor's office, or people may be hesitant to do so. So we do have this modified waiver for those students that cannot get to a doctor. On top of that, we also have the SOPA release form that is required for all students as well. So we will be showing what those look like at the very end of the presentation, as well as a walkthrough of our website. Okay, so next I'm going to pass it off to Mike Jordan to talk about some exercises.
Thanks, Kelsey. Hey everyone, my name is Mike Jordan. I manage the Unified Champion Schools program in Philadelphia. So to talk a little bit about the exercises and what the students are actually going to be doing in the fitness heptathlon is that they're going to pick, each student is going to pick 7 exercises. There are 26 exercises to pick from, and all 26 exercises have been broken down into 3 categories: agility, strength, and endurance. So we'd like each student to pick 2 exercises from each of the 3 categories for a total of 6 exercises, and that one left over, that 7th exercise, can be from any category. Also, some things to keep in mind is that these 7 exercises are going to remain the same 7 exercises that each student practices throughout the fitness heptathlon, so that they're able to track their improvement and track their score throughout the time window of that the fitness heptathlon is going to run. Not everyone on your team has to pick the same 7 exercises, but each individual student has to continue practicing those same 7. So no need to take a picture on your phone or a screenshot, but here is just a slide of all the 26 exercises broken down into those 3 categories: agility, strength, and endurance. And the exercises that are highlighted in blue are specific to students that may have mobility issues. But all these exercises were picked to require the least amount of equipment as possible. And if they do need equipment, there are substitutes that you can use with household items. So each exercise there's a one-pager on our website that we'll take you to later, but these one-pagers are super helpful. They have a video that you can watch the students doing the exercise. They have a category with materials for all the equipment that you may need with the exercise, as well as preparation and the scoring for each exercise. So really important that every single exercise of the 26 has one of these one-pagers that we'll walk you through later. So you can actually, what I would recommend is having your students look at all of these one-pagers and then picking 7 from what they're able or what they're interested to do. And here's where they can be found on our website under the Commit to Fit page. And now I'm going to pass it over to Lauren to talk about the scoring of these exercises.
Hi, everyone. My name's Lauren, and I cover South Central and Southwestern Pennsylvania schools. So we'll talk a little bit about scoring here. So don't let any of this be intimidating at all. We're really going to step through the entire process with scoring. So fitness heptathlon is comprised of scores that come from individuals participating in their 7 exercises. So based upon either number of repetition or time elapsed, people will earn points for their team and themselves, okay? They'll receive a baseline score, they'll receive a mid-season score, and they will receive a final score. And those scores will be combined for the composite. So that first baseline score, as Kelsey mentioned earlier, would be due December 18th. So that is just getting those first numbers from those sets of exercises that everybody is choosing. So just here's a quick example at the bottom there of what that home tracker looks like. So it's easy to track what everybody is scoring. Okay, so week 5. So that would be our midpoint score. So that's, again, everybody is going to do their same 7 exercises that they chose for the duration. So they do them again. We're going to record those repetitions and times that are associated with it. And then what we're going to look at is not necessarily I got 7 and Kelsey gets 8 repetitions. We're looking at what one individual's percentage of improvement is. So we're comparing the midseason and the baseline scores. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. We're going to take that difference and we're going to get a score from that. We'll add all the individual scores together from the team members to get a composite score, and then we'll divide that by the number of team members. So that average ends up being the total mid-season composite score for the team. Okay. Here's just an example of how that scoring tables work. So you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a table. It's a lot of numbers. Don't let it overwhelm you. We'll do the math on our end. So you don't have to memorize this at all, okay? So as you're going through, you're looking at the percentage of improvement equals a certain amount of points. And you'll see that here, there is some baseline and mid-season scores across 7 different exercises. They combine up for that composite score of 13. Right, as we mentioned a little bit before, so each team will get 1 total score. So that is the combine of mid-season composite scores of all individuals on the team. And then we're going to add all those together, and then we're going to average them out, and that will be the total mid-season composite score for your team. Okay. Week 10 is when we are going to take the final scores. So again, those same 7 exercises we're getting scores for. And then we are going to look at the percentage of improvement from mid-season to the end. Okay, so that's what we're looking at for the percentage of improvement. What happens over those 5 weeks? Again, we'll go through that same process. Each individual will get their points based upon their percentage of improvement. We'll add the scores together, get the average, and then we'll have the final score for everybody to get their placement for. Okay, same type of concept that we were looking at before. Again, you'll see the percentage of improvement tables that correlate with points for that combination here. We'll have a composite score of 14 across these exercises. All right, so the final composite score is what we would use for award placement based upon your region. So we will put you guys up in pods and competition pods, similar to what you do in bocce already. And that's the folks that your teams would be competing against. So there's a note here on percentage calculators. Again, you don't have to do the ton of math. If you want to know and track, you are absolutely more than welcome to. Calculator Soup is one of the fun ones that we have found that works really well. But we are not discriminatory against any calculator that you may use, that you can go ahead and calculate them any way that you would like to. But we'll help you with the math. We're going to ask you to submit raw scores on a Google form, and then we'll shake those out for you. So with that, pass it off to Kelsey. Or Jason. I'm sorry, Jason.
All good. Thanks, Lauren. I'm Jason Marola from the Greater Lehigh Valley and Pocono region. For your coach job responsibilities, for prior to the start of the season, which is what we're going through right now, you want to ensure that all your athletes and unified partners have completed their required medical and waiver forms. You want to make sure they have copies of the Fitness Heptathlon weekly training guide or know how to find them on our website. That's going to be all encompassing of the details to complete the Fitness Heptathlon and the training guides that Mike hit on a little bit earlier. So those are very important resource tools. Determine the best platform to work with your students, whether it be Zoom, Facebook, or if they don't have internet capabilities, doing it over the phone with them. And clean your online roster, which you will be provided by your SOPA liaison. And also to remember during training to review the Fit 5 educational information from your Fitness Heptathlon weekly training guide that you can find on our website. In week 1, you're going to want to review the exercises with the student athletes and record their choices. It'll be really important to go over all of the exercises with your athletes and do them with them so they can really get an understanding of which exercises they want to choose. And you're going to want to assist them with their baseline scoring for that first initial scoring. And then for week 1, you're going to use training 1 and training 2 for week 1 in the training guide for your 2 trainings that week. And week 2 is when you're actually going to collect those baseline scores and submit them to your SOPA liaison. And week 2 will follow similar to week 1. You'll do training 1 and 2 for week 2, and so on and so forth for week 3 and 4 as well. Follow the weekly trainings for that specific week. Week 5 is when you're going to collect those, assist in collecting and collect those mid-season scores to submit to your SOPA liaison through the provided Google Doc. And then weeks 5 through 9, again, go through your weekly training, your 2 trainings a week for that week. And then week 10, this is going to be your final scoring for your athletes. So you'll assist in taking their final assessment score and collect those scores and submit them to your SOPA liaison with the provided Google Doc. And then awards and final result presentations will take place some point week of March 8th. The timing is still to be determined at this time. And for weekly training guide, I'll pass it back over to Lauren.
Thanks, Jason. So we'll go over what those weekly training guides really look like. So we do have this program completely built out so we can hand it to you. So easy handoff to you. These programs are designed to have 2 trainings per week. You can utilize any platform that you choose. We know that certain schools have certain restrictions or preferred platforms. Whatever works for you, we are not going to limit you on that at all. So what your training sessions really should be made up of is about 30 to 45 minutes of activity, right? We want athletes pushing themselves, and when I say athletes, I mean athletes and partners, your entire team working and pushing themselves, having a good workout together. You may want to utilize some breakout rooms, especially if you're having 2 teams, so you're not trying to monitor up to 16 individuals at once. Again, we definitely want folks to be safe and be doing these exercises properly. So we want to make sure that you are able to monitor them properly. Within these training sessions, we also have what is called a Fit 5. And what those are is Kelsey had touched on the educational components that we have in these trainings. And directly on those pages, we'll see a couple examples on the next few slides here of where those educational components are that you can just slide right into your trainings without necessarily saying, it's health time, and put that in there. We can plug in these little health things that can provide some good healthy habits for all of our participants. So here's just a quick example of what the warm-up looks like. Again, we said that you don't have to design anything. We definitely allow you to have your creativity that works into this. If you want to do that, absolutely, but we give you the timing of things, we tell you what the activities can be, and then give the breakdown of the key components of how those exercises work. So you don't have to know exactly what a power skip is. If you review this, you can see that in those 3 steps of what you should be doing for that power skip right there, okay? So those things are built right there. In every workout, you'll see that they're labeled week 1, workout 2, whatever that may be. So right there on the right-hand side there, you'll see the Fit 5 in that pinkish color. That's where you're plugging in that educational piece. That's your Fit 5, your educational piece that you're able to plug in. Hey, what's endurance? This is what it is. This is why it's important. Well, they're actively doing something. So that's your slip in of being able to put that little healthy habit in there as they're having fun, they're exercising, they're engaging with their teammates. Again, looking at the written instructions, you'll see that there is a focus on this particular page. It's strength. So working on straight leg raises. you can adapt these. If you have folks that have a different way that they need to do things in this particular manner with a straight leg raise, you're seeing that somebody is supporting themselves with a chair. At home, it might be a desk, it might be the wall. However you need to adapt for your participants, please do so. Again, there's that plug-in for the Fit 5, that educational piece of what is strength and why is it important. Okay, on this particular one, we're looking at flexibility. One of my favorite stretches, the calf stretch, laying it straight out for you. What are those key concepts of how do we do that calf stretch? How do we do it safely that we can go through? Flexibility, that Fit 5 component, why is it important? How can we do other flexibility exercises there? Cool down. The next key component of any key workout, right? You have your warm up, you have your cool down, you have your main activity. So here we have our cool down. It goes through, it's about 10 minutes long, working on 4 different exercises here, straight with the breakdown right here. So we're doing this after every workout. We're doing a cool down. We want to make sure we're bringing that heart rate back down to a nice lower level. We've worked it back up, so we got to bring it back down. Right, pass it over to Kelsey.
Okay, guys, we will be going through this website later at the end of the training, so I'm not going to go through that just yet, but we are now going to talk about timelines and important dates. Again, we kind of touched on this briefly at the beginning, but I just wanted to show you guys these timelines again. So the roster deadline and the baseline scores are still due on the December 18th. Mid-season scores will be done January 29th, and then the final Google score sheet will be submitted the March 5th, and then we'll have our virtual results, presentations, whatever that may look like, the week of March 8th. Again, this will be sent out to you, so don't worry if you haven't completely written all these dates down. So for awards, we are going to be doing regional awards presented by divisions based on the composite scores of March 8th. Basically, all that means is we're keeping it just like bocce, and you're going to just be competing against other schools in your region. They might be some bigger regions, just depending on the schools doing the heptathlon, as we do have a mixture of schools still doing bocce as well. We did just want to let you guys know that this is a broader thing we are doing with our community programming. So our community programming is going to be submitting photos using the hashtag FitHepPA. There's also a Facebook group and a fitness blog. If you're interested in that, please feel free to join. Again, we are all doing the same thing across the state, but you won't be competing against those community programming, but they're still doing the same exercises as you guys. But feel free, if you guys are doing things with your teams, we would love to see pictures and videos so we can promote you on social media. We know a lot of your teams have your own accounts, and we love to see it. We love to share it out. So please, if you think about it, feel free to throw in our hashtags for us. So now we're going to do some quick walkthroughs. I did want to show you guys the e-waivers that we discussed at the beginning. So this is all it looks like. So the e-waiver, again, is what you will fill out if your team cannot get a PIAA medical. I know it looks like a lot, but it's really just the e-waiver. And hopefully this is not a new form for you guys. All of our schools should have received this already. I know we send you a lot of emails, but I promise you it's in one of those emails. But again, you can always reach out to us if you're having trouble finding it. This is the athlete application. So this is that SOPA release form. Yes.
Kels, we're not seeing that on the screen right now. We're still seeing the presentation here.
Interesting. I'm seeing on my screen. Thank you, Lauren. Let me try this again. Now you can see it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry about that, guys. So not to repeat myself, but this is the e-waiver right here. I'll kind of scroll down for you guys. Again, this is if you cannot have the PIAA medical. I'm not going to try and mess that up and show you guys anything else. We're just going to go to the website now. And so this is what our website looks like. This link will be sent out to you. Lauren, can you just tell me you can see this? Because now I'm self-conscious.
Yes. Nope, you're great. You're perfect.
Thank you so much. So this is going to be where all of our information is. Again, we have sent out this link to you guys, but if you ever need it again, this is where it lives. It's on our website. right under Fitness Heptathlon. And if you go here, these are all of our activities. So just for example, we're going to go to planks here. And there is a video here that talks about the procedure, the scoring, the exercise. And if you go to watch the video, it shows you exactly what that exercise looks like and talks about materials, everything we talked about. So it's very important that you guys kind of take the time to go through that website. Going back here, we have even more. Okay, I will say just quickly, it's going to be very important that all of your athletes are doing these exercises correctly. We do not want anyone being injured. For example, what's a hard one? A burpee's pretty hard. So it's going to be really important that you guys watch the video, talk about proper form, everything like that. We have pictures here so they can have a visual representation along with the video. Again, we do not need anyone getting hurt, so please make sure we have the proper form happening, which however that needs to happen. So if you scroll down here, it's everything we've kind of talked about. And then we have the warm-ups, and then right here, this is what all of our coaches are going to be meeting for. It is our week-by-week lesson plans for you guys. So again, we have it all pretty much right here for you. For example, if you click on workout 1, this is exactly what you're going to do with your team. So hopefully we've tried to make this as easy as possible for you guys. And we know, again, you guys are doing so much right now. So please take some time and check out the website. We've really put a lot of effort into it, and hopefully it's very helpful for you and your team. So with that, we are going to open it up for some questions. Hopefully we've been able to answer most of your questions through the chat, but now's the time if we need to talk about any of these questions or anything like that.
Kelsey, there's no questions at this time.
Oh,
So
wow.
in the chat box. So if anybody wants to unmute themselves to ask a question, please feel like you can do so.
I have a question. I was wondering if heptathlon can be done like in conjunction with bocce, so you can use like the exercises as warm-ups, or like if you pick one or the other. I'm not sure, like, you know what I'm saying?
Katie,
Sure.
so yep.
Who's
Sorry.
gonna, Lauren, you got it?
Yep, I do. Sorry, Jen. Yeah, so Katie, the short answer is yes. We want you to choose what your team is going to do for the duration, right? Do you want to do bocce, or are you doing fitness heptathlon for competition? So you do have to make that determination, and whatever you choose for the season is what you have to do for the duration, okay? So if you're choosing bocce, you can't jump back and forth. You are more than welcome if you're choosing bocce and you want to work some of these into your trainings, because you can go on the website, you can pull that information, and absolutely, we want people to get moving. So this is definitely some good things that you can work into those bocce practices if your team is choosing to do bocce for the season. Yeah.
Okay, we're like still deciding what to do because our district hasn't made any decisions about winter sports yet. So this is helpful to know that there's a lot of options.
Yes. Yeah, no problem. And if you get stuck or something, make sure you're chatting with your liaison. They can kind of help you maybe figure out what's the best option depending on what's happening with your particular situation.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yep. And please note that if you decide to do fitness heptathlon and you are still in school, you can do recreational bocce, but just plan to be competing in the heptathlon.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
I had a question, Anne-Marie Matta from Downingtown East. So when they pick the 7 exercises that they're going to compete with, are they all the same 7? Like this, everybody on the team's doing the same 7 exercises?
Great question. And the answer to that is no.
Okay.
Everybody can choose whatever 7 that they want to. So the reason we have such a large menu, the 26 exercises, is so that there is something for everybody that's appropriate for everybody to try, right? Okay. So if your team, though, if you're talking to your team and they all decide they want to do 7, that's fine. We have that variety there. So we want people to pick things that are going to be challenging for them, but something that they're able to physically do so they can have a good percentage of improvement. That's going to give them the best score. We don't want them to have something easy, because that's also going to affect how much of an improvement score they can get as well. We want them to challenge themselves. We want them to be able to improve throughout the duration of this program.
Great, thank you.
I did forget to mention that everyone doing the fitness heptathlon is going to receive a t-shirt at the end as kind of an alternative, again, to kind of be able to do a regional championship. So that is kind of our alternative for our fitness heptathlon. And with that, I think we are just about done here. Again, we will be sending out these slides, links, everything like that for you guys. There's a lot more to come. I apologize for the couple of tech glitches on my end tonight. Thank you for your patience with me. But with that, thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for doing this. This is incredible.
Thank you.
Thank
That
you.
means so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.